Welcome to Portsmouth Now. I'm your host, Rob Lauer. Well, the holiday season is here, and during the entire month of December, there are dozens of holiday-themed events taking place throughout the city, all designed to make your days merry and bright. Today, we'll take a look at some of them. That's coming up right now on this episode of Portsmouth Now. Welcome to Portsmouth Now, and we're looking at events coming up this month in December. And as you can see, I'm in the middle of Winter Wonderland, which is actually the Portsmouth Arts and Cultural Center. I'm joined by Gail Paul to tell us about what's going on here this month.
Okay, the day after Thanksgiving, we will open up for the season. We'll have a big holiday opening.
For Winter Wonderland.
For Winter Wonderland. And now for those people who are not familiar with it, it's part of the Coleman Nursery collection.
Right.
When they closed in 2004, that collection moved here to the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. This is our 10th year, so it's our 10th anniversary celebration.
So I was told that you're doing some things a little bit different. You're bringing back some things this year that you haven't had out for several years.
We're rotating out some pieces that we have not shown before. We move things around so it gives a little bit different feel. So I think some of the old displays that people had kind of missed, come back this year because there's going to be more to see.
Okay, so if you've seen it every year before now, come anyway because you'll see something new.
You see something new, plus we have lots of activities and extended hours also.
Okay, so what are those extended hours?
We're here Tuesday through Thursday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. And then on the weekends, we're open from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and 11 to 5 on Sundays.
Okay, great. So now the opening, the weekend of Thanksgiving, big opening that Friday and Saturday and everything.
Yes.
And I understand you're going to have Santa Claus here too.
Yes, Santa will be here every weekend. Check our website for the exact times, but usually he's here in the afternoons on Saturdays.
Oh, great. Okay.
And Fridays and the evening.
And now, the first weekend events are always a big deal here at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center.
Yes.
And because the 1st of December falls on a Sunday, it's actually the next weekend that we have first weekend events here?
Well, we're not going to be doing first weekend events, so to speak, for this year, but every weekend there's going to be different activities.
Okay.
So we'll still have the holiday festival on the street. For opening weekend, we'll also have a holiday art sale. So the Tidewater Artists Association will set up shop in our art annex, and so you can pick up some handcrafted, hand-built artworks that will be sold in the gallery shop area.
And they always have great things over there anyway.
Yes.
And I understand they'll be carrying a book this year, a new book?
Yes. We have a new book that just came out, second edition, called A Very Virginia Christmas by Wilfred Cale. And this year, the Coleman collection will be featured in that. So he's gone around the state and collected different traditions from the state of Virginia, and so this year we're featured in that book.
Oh, great. So come out, see the collection, and buy a book and read about it, the history of it. That's fantastic.
And we haven't got the confirmation. We're looking for him to be on the 14th and do a book signing also.
Fantastic.
So that will be Wilfred Cale and Marshall McClure, who is also the person that worked with him on compiling the book. Okay.
So basically, from Thanksgiving weekend until New Year's Eve,
there's
stuff going on here.
Every weekend and throughout the week.
Okay, and now I understand on New Year's Eve you have a ball drop, but it's a little bit different time.
Yes. Now this ball drop is for children. And so,
who probably aren't up partying at midnight.
Right. And so this one is actually at 12 a.m. So it's come, and there's a lot of activities, and so they get to watch the ball drop, and there's a lot of, I would say, activities and festivities that go along with it. But it's become real popular. And then we also do like a chocolate tasting, and one of our holiday crafts will be cookies. And so there's lots of different things going on that I think for the families. And
so if they come to the museum's website, Cultural Center Arts site, or to portsvaevents.com, they can find out all about all of this.
Right.
Now, the job of putting all this up, this takes quite a while, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. We always close down like the middle of October, and we have to first get everything out, and then everything has to come in. So it's a major production.
And then taking it all down.
At the
More
end,
of a major production.
More of a major production, because then once again, everything has to come back in. So it's a lot of work.
Recently I was talking to basically the exhibits department here about all the work that goes into this. It really is. It ends up being almost a quarter of the year devoted just to Winter Wonderland.
Right. And they've been working on displays throughout the year. They've had people just specifically devoted to getting some of the displays. They've done some rebuilding of some of the sets that had, been every year as it gets moved around, it gets a little more wear and tear, and so there were some
and clothes
that
wear out even if they're on a mechanical ball. So.
They do. So it is a lot of work.
Well, recently I interviewed them, and so let's go out and let's hear what they had to tell us about this whole process of installing Winter Wonderland.
My name is Timothy Machowski. I'm the exhibit supervisor for the Portsmouth Museums, and I've only been in my position since April, but I've been here for like the last 16 or so years. And I've been doing Winter Wonderland for 10 years.
I'm Skip Novak. I'm the exhibit technician in charge of the Lancaster Antique Train and Toy Collection here at the Children's Museum of Virginia. I've been working with the Winter Wonderland Colemans Nursery Collection for the past 10 years.
My name is Jenny Heath. I am a first-year exhibit technician. I've actually only been on job for a few months. This is my first time setting up Winter Wonderland.
In 1987, the night I met my wife, it was Christmas time. It was December 7th, and I was talking to her, and I said, the thing about being a sailor in this area was there's nothing to do for us. We don't experience any of the local culture. So she said, well, come on. We hopped in the car. She turned on some Christmas tunes and drove me from Military Circle Mall out to Coleman's Nursery, and that was the first time I experienced Winter Wonderland. Little did I know, 3.5 years later, I would be marrying her. So yeah, it's kind of a weird circle that I started off, going on a date with this woman, our first date, to this Winter Wonderland, and now I'm actually, working with the figures almost every day of my life. And it just seems that was one fateful night that set the course for my entire lifetime, and it all revolves around Winter Wonderland.
We start putting it up the first week of October down at the Children's Museum is when we have a scene down there. So we start that first week of October.
My first thoughts was, oh, it's kind of cool. I get to help set up this huge Winter Wonderland thing. And then I start thinking about all the Christmas trees and the snow and all the figures, and it's a lot of work, but I think it's worth it.
Definitely the biggest thing we do all year, mainly because, it takes 6 weeks to set up. Then the exhibit runs for, a month, and then it takes another 4 weeks to take it all down. So it's a good, it's a quarter of the year where we're just Winter Wonderland. And this year, because it is the 10th anniversary, we started basically in March refurbishing sets and working on figures and laying out the theme of what we wanted to do. So this has been an all-year project this year anyway. It is different from a typical, say, an out-of-the-box exhibit or a traveling exhibit where you only have so much stuff and you know what your space is, and there is some tweaking with those shows, but this is it is online with a stage show where you're trying to get the most out of what you got and make it look good.
Right after we struck last year's Winter Wonderland back in January, in February I had figures in my office and I started working on them, and it has been just a constant upkeep of these, getting, over a dozen, 2 dozen of them working again for this year.
I'm looking forward to setting up the snow babies. We got to refinish the Ferris wheel for them this year, so that's all freshly painted and redone.
This year we're reincorporating some scenes that were designed by Bob Getty 10 years ago, and we're using those. We're also keeping some of the newer and fresher scenes that, Pat Jensen helped design and Tim helped design, and some of the things that I've helped design over the years. And so we're just, it's a mix of, the art of the old and the new, and we also, during the design phase, we're also able to use our artistic talents to, make everything blend well and have a nice smooth flow for people's eyes and ears as they go through.
There's a sense of satisfaction on If we finish before the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, that's a good plus.
There's an extreme sense of satisfaction and joy. I really do enjoy seeing the little ones run around and hear the little squeals of delight that they have when they see the trains or one of the figures move, or they discover something that they didn't see last year. The adults I really enjoy talking to, hearing their stories about, when they were a kid out at Colemans nursery and, what that figure meant to them and what Winter Wonderland really meant to them.
I'm anticipating a lot of people looking at it like, oh, that's different, that's new, oh, I remember this one, and just trying to pick out the new stuff that they will enjoy for years to come, and also the classics that they've enjoyed in the past.
Creating holiday memories for years to come from the classics of the past. That's what the Colemans Winter Wonderland display at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center is all about. This December, come see it and start making memories of your own. When we return to Portsmouth Now, we'll continue our look at holiday events taking place this month, so stay tuned.
The odds of becoming a successful NASCAR driver, 1 in 125 billion. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 88. I'm Jamie McMurray. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Welcome back to Portsmouth Now, and our look at special holiday events coming up in the city this month. Now, the Children's Museum of Virginia has events going on throughout the year, but during the holiday season, they really kick it up a notch. And here to tell us more about that is Martha Francis Fortson.
Thank you for having me, Rob.
Good to have you
here.
As
you said, we go all year round, but when it gets to the holidays, it is like the Energizer Bunny. We're all just moving very quickly, planning, coordinating, just doing all kinds of just great things for our community. And of course, we start off with Thanksgiving weekend and our opener on Friday morning, the morning after Thanksgiving. We will have a members gathering for members only from 9 to 10, which will be for Winter Wonderland and lots of things going on in that time frame. And then we move into the entire weekend. And I cannot stress enough with everybody going, it's hard for us to get telephone messages across to people, but go online because it's all there written, and go to the Children's Museum of Virginia and what will be going on. But that particular weekend, we have a great, what we refer to as tile workshop, which would be Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon from 1 to 4. And children or families can come in and do tiles, and then they will be fired after the weekend. They're taken over to the little shop in Norfolk, Color Me Mine, and then they're delivered back here before December 14th. And
so
then
kids can make a great Christmas gift.
Yes, great Christmas gift. We have the ornaments that they can paint, and then those will be fired. And then we also have the little 4x4 tiles that they can make for grandparents or whatever. It's a perfect little gift. And we will have members of our staff and foundation here helping the children. And that will be over in the annex at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. But again, that will be Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon. And that was a tremendous hit last year. We had a lot of children that came in and did them for friends, their teachers, and then they picked them back up a week and a half later. So lots of things going on that Thanksgiving weekend, and then of course we move into the weeks prior to Christmas.
Right.
And on December 5th, on Thursday night, we have a ladies' night called Ginger Bling. And we will have the ready-made gingerbread houses ready to go, all put together. And then they can come in and choose the all-edible bling. Anything from a fondant pearl to a sapphire made of special sugar.
How many of those will actually make it onto the gingerbread houses?
Well, I don't know that. This is our first time, but we've had a tremendous response to this. And the ladies can shop and work on their gingerbread houses. And George from Artisans will be here that night to help the ladies out and with some of his professional expertise. And then we move right on into the weekends of Christmas. And we have, of course, the gingerbread workshops. We have 4 of those that will be going on the 2 weekends of starting the 7th, 8th, 9th time frame, and then the next weekend. And that, but again, it's all online.
Okay.
Or they can call the Children's Museum and register for those particular events right there on the phone, and can register and give a credit card if they want to. But we have the rainbow puppets. We just have so much going on at the Children's Museum.
So go to the website to find out.
Yes,
really
definitely.
the
But
details.
one of the highlights this year is going to be a gingerbread, where everything's centered around gingerbread. And we have gotten 10 professional groups, from the Coast Guard to the Navy to bakers to all kinds of different people, making large gingerbread. And it can be anything from a building. I'm hearing that the Coast Guard might do a lighthouse. Don't know yet what they're doing. It'll be a surprise. But they will bring those to the Children's Museum. And in the changing gallery, where Curious George was summer before last, will be a huge train layout. And the Museums Foundation has purchased Christmas trains that will run throughout that layout.
Wow.
But the gingerbread houses will be on display on that layout. And it will say what professional group did it, and then we will have a People's Choice Award. And whoever wins that $250 award can give it back to their charity or their nonprofit. So it's very exciting. We can hardly wait to see them, because it's going to be all kinds of different ones. But that will be going on all the time. I mean, you can
So whenever
see
you come
that.
to the Children's
Exactly.
Museum,
That's
it'll be
part of
there.
your visit to the Children's
Now,
Museum.
when you come to the Children's Museum, say if you're not a member of the museums, can you buy admission to the Children's Museum and Winter Wonderland down the street?
Yes, you can. You can buy a pass for both.
Okay, great.
Yes, and so and the same at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center, you can buy for children. So
right.
yeah, so it's all one ticket. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Now,
they
I
ask
understand
you-
outside of the Children's Museum at certain times during the Christmas
Yes.
season, it will be a sort of a white Christmas, shall we
A
say?
white Christmas on Friday and Saturday evenings, 5:30, 6:30, and 7:30. We have just this magical snow wonder show. And it will literally just snow very hard for about 10 or 15 minutes. And the children absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So please, the whole family come down and enjoy. The Children's Museum will be open till 8 on Friday and Saturday nights during the holidays. And so do come down and join Snow Wonders, because it's just absolutely magical.
Well, we
It
took
really
some
is.
film of it last year, and it was very magical. And so
yeah,
we're going to show
yeah,
that in just a
yeah,
moment.
good.
But thank you so much for
Oh, you're
joining
welcome.
us,
Thanks for
Martha.
having me, Rob.
Thanks.
And Merry Christmas to everyone. And
Merry
come
Christmas
down
to you.
to all of our festivities in Old Town Portsmouth.
All right, thank you. Every December, publishers release a flood of holiday-themed books. Especially popular are books that look back on past holiday traditions. Donna Deakins is certainly no stranger to past Virginia holiday traditions. She started her career alongside Santa Claus, playing the Snow Queen at Richmond's Miller and Road store, a role she's reprised here in Portsmouth during the holiday seasons. She's also written several books on past Virginia holiday traditions, and this year she has a new book coming out. On Saturday afternoon, December 7th, Donna and her co-author, Doug Rydell, will be at the Children's Museum of Virginia, signing copies of Virginia's legendary Santa trains.
The historic Santa trains, and as our book is called, Virginia's legendary Santa trains, it was a wonderful tradition all through the Commonwealth of Virginia. Originally, we thought it was primarily in Central Virginia.
So I rode the Santa Claus train, and my assumption was, when we began writing the book, that this was a book about the Santa Claus trains that Miller and Rhodes created.
Until we got into the research, and then we found out there were Santa trains all over the Commonwealth. And we were just completely surprised at the short runs, but also long runs of Santa trains in Roanoke and Lynchburg.
As it turns out, Miller and Rhodes had the trains, but there was a little small department store in Ashland, which is 15 miles north of Richmond.
It was the Cox Department Store in Ashland, a small family-run retail business that actually had been there for years and years. And then in 1955, they got some new owners, and they decided that they would like to try something different to bring more folks into the small town of Ashland.
Ashland was a small town, but it had a railroad. Of course, it's famous for having railroad tracks run right through it. And they said if Santa Claus arrives in our town, he should come on a train. So in 1955 and 56, Santa Claus arrived in Ashland on Saturday mornings on a regularly scheduled R&P passenger train. The town has 2,000 people. Both years, over 1,000 people showed up. So that's half the population of the town showing up to greet Santa Claus.
Those same savvy owners decided that this is a railroad town, and this was such a hit with Santa coming, into town, then we need to go ahead and see if we can get passengers on a train with Santa. And so they teamed up with a wonderful man named Gene Luck, who, and again in our research we found was the mastermind behind all of these wonderful Santa trains.
Gene Luck was very much into anything that he could do to get people to ride trains. So he went to the people at Cox Department Store and said, look, rather than Santa getting off the train here, why don't we bring Santa in and let everybody get on the train with Santa? It can be an excursion to the North Pole. They thought about it and they said, well, this will be good. So in 1957, for the first time, on a Friday night, 2,300 people showed up in a town of 2,000. I guess they had to export, or rather import some people into Ashland to get that crowd. But it took them almost 2 hours to get everybody on the train. They went into Richmond, 15 minutes away, looped around through Broad Street Station, and came back out. They slowed the train down enough so that Santa Claus could walk through the train and he could greet the children. Local high school girls were in homemade outfits with tiaras, with wands, and with wings. And they walked through the train to accompany Santa. There were clowns on there. Everybody was having a good time. Well, at the same time, Gene Luck had gone to Miller and Rhodes and said, hey, suppose your Santa Claus, the real Santa Claus as he was known back in those days, suppose he rode the train. We'll start off at Broad Street Station. We'll pick Santa Claus up at the North Pole, which happened to be Ashland. We'll go a little bit further up the road. We'll turn the train around and bring him back to Richmond. So all of these children will be able to accompany Santa Claus as he comes to Richmond. And on Saturday afternoons between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we would make 4 round trips between Broad Street Station, which is now the Science Museum of Virginia, and they would come back with Santa Claus on there on a 20-car train. They had musicians, clowns, and they had the part of the Miller and Rhodes Santa Claus celebration was the Snow Queen.
I started as a Snow Queen in 1971. I was a student at the University of Richmond looking for a Christmas job, and I applied and was working during the Christmas season, while I was off from school. And that last season of the Santa Train, they had already scheduled the Snow Queens to ride with Santa, but one, for some reason, could not do it at the last minute. And I was asked to join Santa on the Santa Train. So I got to do it one time, but that one time is just still magical for me, remembering how we went through the cars and Santa touching all the children on the heads.
She joined Santa Claus and they made their round trip. And Santa Claus went through and he touched every child on the train, which was great. You have your one-on-one with Santa.
I think if this book transports somebody back in time, the nostalgia, the elegance of that era, that's what I'm hoping people will take back when they read this book. It's history, it's nostalgia.
It's history seen through the eyes of the children, the parents, and in some cases, Santa Claus himself.
As we said all along, no better combination really than Santa, Christmas, and trains.
The Old Town Holiday Music Festival was launched in 1998, and since then it's become Portsmouth's signature holiday event. During this musical tribute to the spirit of the holiday season, the first 7 blocks of High Street come alive with musical performances of all types, along with children's activities, reenactors in period attire, carolers, and strolling characters. This year, the Old Town Holiday Music Festival takes place on Saturday afternoon, December 14th, from noon to 6 p.m. I'm joined by Eric Taylor, who's one of the many talented musicians who come and participate in the Old Town Holiday Music Festival. Thanks for joining us, Eric.
Absolutely, thank you.
So, how many years have you been doing this now?
Boy, it's been about 5 to 6 years.
Wow.
Maybe a little more.
And how was the experience for you as a musician?
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful opportunity. There's just so many varied talents of the people. Everyone's having fun, and you know, you just see families together, and just other violinists, and it's just a joyful time.
So I've heard you play before. You're fabulous.
Thank you.
What do you do you like holiday music? Do you like Christmas music?
I could listen to it all year long. It is just my favorite. Yes, absolutely love it.
So you work your magic, I guess, when you come up with your own arrangements and things. And
I do. I try and present something new every year. Have a new Christmas project, the best gift of all, that I'll have. So I'll be playing some selections from there. Some old holiday traditional favorites and new arrangements, and just having fun.
That's great. That's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Listen, you're going to play us something today.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to step out and let you have at it.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for
all
joining
right.
us. That's it for our show today. This December, there are lots of special holiday events taking place throughout the city. To find out about any of them, simply log on to www.portsvaevents.com and then come to Portsmouth, where if you give us a day, we'll give you a vacation. I'm Rob Lauer. For everyone here at Portsmouth Now, we hope you and your loved ones have the happiest of holiday seasons.